بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of history of Shia Islam. We start discussion about the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam was born on Friday, 13th of Rajab, 30th year after Amul Fil, the year of elephant, which we explained, the year that the Prophet was born. So became like beginning of a calendar for them. So they were comparing with that year. So Imam Ali was born in the year 30 after Amul Fil, and this is certainly before Islam and before Hijrah. To be more precise, in Islamic calendar, which starts with Hijrah, this would be 23 years before Hijrah. Imam Ali was born in Mecca inside Masjidul Haram. Many Sunni scholars as well as Shia scholars have reported that the wall of Kaaba was opened for Lady Fatima bint al-Asad, mother of Amir al-Mu'mineen, when she was expecting Amir al-Mu'mineen, and she delivered the baby inside Masjidul Haram. And for no one else such an honor is recorded. The father of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Hazrat Abu Talib, was one of the uncles of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a great personality in the whole Mecca, in particular in the tribe of Quraysh. And he was, as you know, a supporter of the Prophet throughout his life. When Imam Ali alayhi salam was 6 years old, there was a famine in that region, and Hazrat Abu Talib, who had large family, financially was in difficult situation. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that time was living with Lady Khadija salamullah alayha, and he was well off. And Abbas, another uncle of the Prophet, was also well off. So Rasulullah suggested to his uncle Abbas that we should go to Hazrat Abu Talib and suggest to him that each of us take care of one of his children. So they went to Hazrat Abu Talib, and it was at this point that Rasulullah started taking care of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So Imam Ali was 6 years old, that then he moved to the house of Rasulullah and was brought up by the Prophet directly. And in Nahjul Balagha, there's a beautiful saying of Amir al-Mu'mineen, which he describes how close he was to the Prophet and how the Prophet was feeding him, how the Prophet was every day teaching him. So you can refer to Nahjul Balagha. When Amir al-Mu'mineen was just 10 years old, revelation came to the Prophet. So that was the beginning of Islam. The Prophet was appointed by Allah as his prophet when Imam Ali was just 10 years old. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, according to many like Tabari and Zahabi, was the first man to believe in the Prophet, to embrace Islam. When the Muslims were in Shi'i Abi Talib, we talked about Shi'i Abi Talib the previous session, for 3 years they suffered from sanctions put by Quraysh on all Muslims. So even in those 3 years, by the advice of his father, Hazrat Abu Talib, he used to sleep in the place of the Prophet. So this is not only Laylatul Mabit. Even when they were in Shi'i Abi Talib, he was always available to offer his life for the protection of the Prophet. And then in Laylatul Mabit, when they made that plan in Darun Nadwa to have a person from every tribe and attack and kill the Prophet, he slept in the house of the Prophet so that the Prophet can migrate from Mecca. And the ayah was revealed from Surah Baqarah verse 20, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَؤُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Among people there are those who sell their soul, their lives, seeking pleasure of Allah. So they give their life to Allah. They don't want any fame, they don't want any money, they don't want any even praise from people. They just want pleasure of Allah. وَاللَّهُ رَؤُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. And Allah is very kind to his servants. So maybe this indicates that his life was saved. What was important was to offer. The offer is important. Allah may not accept the offer. May, like Hazrat Ibrahim, وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. This didn't reduce the greatness of offer of Ibrahim, that Allah ransomed Ismail with a sacrifice. So after the Prophet migrated, Amirul Mu'mineen, as we said before, delivered trust and amanat of people of Mecca. If the Prophet had any loan, he paid off, and took Fawatim, Lady Fatima Zahra, and his own mother Fatima bintul Asad, Fatima bint Zubayr, and joined the Prophet in Medina. The Prophet was in Quba, near Yathrib, and they joined the Prophet in Quba. In the year 2nd after Hijrah, he married Lady Fatima Zahra, Salamullah alayha. In battles at the beginning of Islam, where there would be Saraya or Ghazawat, those which the Prophet himself was the commander, are called Ghazwa. Those that the Prophet sent delegations is called Sariya, plural form is Saraya. Amir al-Mu'minin had a normally very important role in these incidents of defending Islam and Muslims. And just as example, inshallah, we refer to some of the incidents. For example, in Uhud, in Khaybar, we will inshallah mention. In Ghazwa of Tabuk, there is something different. In Ghazwa of Tabuk, which was in the year 9 after Hijrah, 1 year before the demise of the Prophet, the Prophet with a massive army left Medina, but because he was worried about hypocrites inside Medina, he left Amirul Mu'mineen inside Medina. And as we have in some historical reports, this was difficult for Amirul Mu'mineen not to be to be able to enjoy the great benefit of struggle for the sake of Allah with the Prophet, under the banner of the Prophet. But as you know, the Prophet told him, أَمَا تَرْضَى أَن تَكُونَ مِنِّي بِمَنْزِلَةِ هَارُونَ مِنْ مُوسَى إِلَّا أَنَّهُ لَا نَبِيَّ بَعْدِي. Aren't you happy to be for me like Harun was for Moses. When Moses went to receive the tablets, he said to his brother Harun, Ya Harun, ukhlufni fi qawmi. Be my successor inside my people. The same relation that Harun had with Prophet Musa was between Amir al-Mu'mineen and Prophet, but Hazrat Harun was also a prophet. Imam Ali was not a prophet, but the love, the respect, partnership, which is very important, ashraku fi amri, to be wazir, to be aid, were all there, to be khalifa, successor was there. So he was successor of the Prophet in Medina when the Prophet was away from Ummah with the army for Ghazwa Tabuk. In the book there is a section for a study, self-study, but we mention because it's important. According to some historical reports, which are very important, and we find in Sunni and Shia sources, the Prophet had a special relation with Amir al-Mu'mineen. For example, in the story of declaration of the verses of Surah Al-Bara, we have this in the book Lessons on Imam and Wilayah. So Allama Tabatabai, when he comments on the beginning of Surah Tawbah, chapter 9 of the Quran, he quotes hadith from Ibn Shahr Ashub from his Manaqib, and Allama Tabatabai quotes through Tafsir Burhan this from Manaqib by Ibn Shahr Ashub. Ibn Shahr Ashub says that Tabari, Biladari, Tirmidhi, Waqidi, Sha'bi, Tha'labi, Wahidi, Qurtubi, Ushayri, Sam'ani, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Ibn Battah, Muhammad ibn Ishaq, Abu Ya'la al-Musali, A'mash, Sammak ibn Harb, all of them in their books have narrated from companions of the Prophet. For example, some from Urwat ibn Zubayr, some from Abu Hurairah, some from Anas, some from Abi Rafi', some from Zayd ibn Nafi', some from Ibn Umar, and some from Ibn Abbas. We quote what Ibn Abbas says, that when the verses at the beginning of Surah, the first 9 verses of Surah Al-Bara'ah were revealed, Rasulullah sent the first Caliph, Abu Bakr, towards Mecca to declare what Allah had revealed. Then Jibreel came to the Prophet and said, only you or someone from you should declare these verses. So the Prophet told Amir al-Mu'mineen to take his camel and go to meet Abu Bakr and ask him to come back and take the message and deliver to the people of Mecca. Ibn Abbas says that when Abu Bakr went back to the Prophet, he was very concerned and said, you to the Prophet, he said, you yourself sent me for this task, and why you asked me to come back? In some sources it says, he said, Hal nazala fiyya shay'un, has any revelation come about me? And the Prophet said, Jibreel has brought message from Allah that La yu'addihi illa ana aw rajulun minni, something like this. Only me or someone from me should declare this. There was nothing directly about you. No one, whether you or anyone else, can do it except me or someone from me. So Ali alayhi salam is considered as rajulun minni, someone from me. In some lectures I have explained the relation of being someone from someone. In the book also I have mentioned Lessons on Imam Ali, another case that some people went back to the Prophet to complain. It's a beautiful story, you can refer to the book. And the Prophet said, ماذا تريدون من Ali? What do you want from Ali? You have come all the way to complain to me about Ali? He is from me and I am from him. That is even stronger. To be from someone is very important, but to say he is from me and I am from him is even more important. In the Battle of Uhud, again we have very brave stances of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. In the year 3 after Hijrah, which is 1 year after Battle of Badr, when Quraysh were very severely defeated, so they wanted to go back and fight the Prophet and Muslims and also have some kind of revenge. In the beginning, one of them called Talha ibn Abi Talha had 1-by-1 fight with Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he was killed by Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So Muslims became very happy and attacked, and the enemies were defeated at the beginning. Unfortunately, when they saw the defeat of enemy, which was not yet firm, then some went to take booties. And there was a place that was on the side of a hill, and the Prophet had asked 50 people to be there with arrows and make sure that no one can bypass the army. Unfortunately, most of them left, and the person who was the commander, called Abdullah ibn Jubair, could not stop them. He stayed with just some people, and Khalid ibn Walid, which was a commander of Quraysh, was alert and was checking, and he saw that now there's a chance to attack Muslim army from behind by going around this hill. So he changed the situation of the war, and the war, which was a very easy victory, turned into bad defeat. And then they wanted even to kill the Prophet. So they attacked the Prophet, and the rumor spread that the Prophet has been killed. Then some Muslims thought, without Prophet, we cannot, win. We have to run away. This made the situation even worse. And the ayah was revealed. ما كان محمد صلى الله عليه وآله أبا أحد من رجالكم. He is not father of any of your men, but he is Rasulullah. He is خاتم النبيين. أفإن مات أو قتل انقلبتم على أعقابكم. If he dies or is killed, are you going to return backward? So in any case, they attacked even the Prophet. They broke some of his teeth. They injured his face. Shaykh Mufid Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayhi in Al-Irshad says that Amirul Mu'mineen stood by the Prophet. Rasulullah asked him why he didn't go with people, why he didn't leave. He said, by Allah, I am not going to leave. Either I should be killed or see the promise of Allah for the victory. Because Allah said He's going to support you. So Rasulullah then said, receive this bishara that Allah is going to materialize His promise, and after this day, pagans will never be able to be dominant over us. This is the last day. So some of the pagans came close to attack. Rasulullah said, "O Ali, I wish you attack them." So Amirul Mu'mineen attacked them, and one of them was Hisham ibn Umayyah al-Makhzumi. And when Amir al-Mu'minin killed him, that group was scattered, and they left. Then another group came. Again, Rasulullah repeated the same thing. "O Ali, I wish you attack them." So Amir al-Mu'minin attacked this group. And he killed Amr ibn Abdullah Juhmi, and they were scattered. Then another group, and Rasulullah said, attack this group. So Imam Ali attacked them and killed Bishr ibn Malik al-Amiri. And the group, because normally when the commander was killed, many used to run away. So at this point, when these groups ran away, then Muslims who were running away, they came back, and Mushrikeen, pagans, went to Mecca. The Prophet came back to Medina. So Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha went to welcome his father. She had a container of water and washed the face of the Prophet. Then Amir al-Mu'minin, who was also very much injured, then and had blood on his hand and his sword Zulfaqar. So at this point it is said that Rasulullah said, "O Fatima, take the sword of Ali, because your husband has fulfilled the right of this sword, and Allah with his sword has killed the pagans of Quraysh, the warriors of Quraysh." So his stances in different battles were very outstanding, and if he was not there on many occasions, not only there was no victory, there was nothing left from Islam. The other incident is in the battle of Khandaq or Uhud, which was very important. This is called Ahzab, Khandaq or Ahzab. It's called Ahzab because many groups joined to finish Islam. And one of the people who was there, you are all familiar with this, and maybe you have seen also on the movie The Message, that was Amr ibn Abd Wad. Wad was an idol. Abd Wad means servant or slave of Wad. Na'udhu billah. Like, we say Abdullah, they used to call Abdullat, Abdul Uzza, Abd Manaf, So sometimes after names of some idols, and some of these names of course had different meanings. Maybe one meaning was for idol, there had other meanings as well. So Amr Abd Wad was very well known, and it was very famous for his bravery and his strength. He went and started doing tahaddi, we call, challenging Muslims. Who can come and fight with me? And no one was going except Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. Rasulullah was asking him to wait. So he was repeating, no one apart from Amir al-Mu'minin was showing readiness. To the extent that he said, my voice is now tired. I have so many times cried for someone to come, no one is coming. So he basically wanted to question ability of Muslim army to send someone to fight. Then Rasulullah permitted Amir al-Mu'minin. He put his Imam turban on the head of Amir al-Mu'minin and gave his own sword to Amir al-Mu'minin. And he said, all Islam is now going against all kufr. It was a very crucial moment. And if Amir al-Mu'minin was defeated, they could finish everything. So Amir al-Mu'minin, before fighting, offered him to embrace Islam. He didn't accept. Offered him to leave. He didn't accept. Then Amir al-Mu'minin said, okay, come down from your horse and let us fight on feet. He accepted. Then they had severe fight, and Amir al-Mu'minin managed to injure him, and he fell down. But when Amir al-Mu'minin wanted to kill him, he insulted mother of Amir al-Mu'minin and threw split into the face of Amir al-Mu'minin. So as you know, Amir al-Mu'minin left him, and then after some time went back and killed him. So when he went back, Rasulullah asked him, what happened? Why you didn't finish him in the first place? He wanted everyone to know. So he said, he insulted my mother and threw spit on my face. I didn't want to be killing him in order to quench my anger or to satisfy my anger. I left him. So when I had control, complete control, when I made sure that I have, no angry stance, then I went and killed him. Mawlavi in Masnavi, Al-Manavi, in the first section, has referred to this story as Ali آموز اخلاص عمل شیر حق را دان مطهر از دغل. Just learn from Ali sincerity of action. Recognize lion of haq, purified from any deception, any cheating. در غزا بر پهلوانی دست یافت زود شمشیری برآورد و شتافت. In the fight he found a very strong person, warrior. He took his sword and attacked him. او خدو انداخت بر روی علی افتخار هر نبی و هر ولی. That person threw his spirit to the face of Ali. Who is Ali? افتخار هر نبی و هر ولی. Who is the pride of every prophet and every wali. There's discussion whether Mawlavi was Shia or Sunni. Maybe many people say he was not Shia, but because he had wilaya in the spiritual sense, because many Sufis, they have idea of wilaya. So even if they are Sunni, they have great respect for Amir al-Mu'minin. They look at him as the spiritual successor of the Prophet, even if they don't believe in immediate successorship in the other senses. So he says Ali is pride and honor for every prophet and wali. آن خدو زد بر رخی که روی ماه سجده آرد پیش او در سجدگاه. He says he insulted the face of someone that the moon does sajda for him. When Ali is going to sajda, moon is doing sajda for Ali out of respect. Like the story of Prophet Yusuf in a dream. أني رأيت أحد عشر كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. In his dream he saw that sun, moon and 11 stars are doing sajda for him. در زمان انداخت شمشیر آن علی کرد او اندر غزایش کاهلی. At the same moment Ali dropped the sword and showed reluctance in fighting. گشت حیران آن مبارز زین عمل نمودن عفو و رحمت بی محل. He was very surprised. Amr ibn Abdullah was very surprised. Why? This is not the time of stopping. Why he is stopping? And then he continues the story and he says, Amir al-Mu'minin said, Amr ibn Abdullah asked, what did you do which was better than fighting me? What did you see that quenched or suppressed your anger? So this is reference to that same story. So we talked about the battle of Uhud, the battle of Khandaq or Ahzab. We told about declaration of verses of Bara'ah. Another story is battle of Khaybar. Some people of the book who were around Medina, they had agreements, peace treaties with Muslims, but unfortunately they were collaborating with pagans of Quraysh. They were not respecting the agreement, and therefore the Prophet had to make some practical attempts to stop this. We have in the history that first the Prophet gave the first caliph flag, and he was responsible for conquering the castles. He went with a white flag next to the castle. But after some time he went back. Another time the commander was appointed to be the second caliph, and he was not able to succeed. And Tabari says that when he went back, he started praising a lot Marhab, who was the warrior, strongest warrior of them. I said he's a person that no one can defeat. Anyway, Muslims were getting affected. After 2 attempts, they were not able to succeed. So Rasulullah said, لَأُعْتِيَنَّ الرَّايَةَ غَدًا رَجُلًا يُحِبُّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيُحِبُّهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ يَفْتَحُ اللَّهُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ لَيْسَ بِفَرَّارٍ. Tomorrow I am going to give the banner to someone that loves the Prophet and Messenger, and Allah and His Messenger love him. And Allah will bring victory on his hand. He is not farrar, he is not someone who runs away. So many people were looking, who is going to be this person? Is it possible that I get this honor? So people were waiting. Then next day Rasulullah asked, where is Ali? Amirul Mu'minin had severe pain in his eye or eyes. So he called Amirul Mu'minin to come and ask him to go for this task, but also he put his hand on the eyes of Amirul Mu'minin and prayed for him. So the pain was stopped, and they say that till end of his life Amirul Mu'minin had no problem with his eyes. So Amirul Mu'minin, without any hesitation, without any questioning, without saying, okay, give me half an hour, let me wait, think, and he was there for Rasulullah, because Rasulullah was his aql. With non-ma'soom, of course, we need to use our aql. But with ma'soom can be your aql. It's better than your own thinking. When Rasulullah says something, if Imam says something, you don't need to think about it. You are sure that this is the best decision. So, in all his life, he was like this. So he went and he managed to succeed and defeat them. First, the brother of Marhab came. His name was Harith. He was also a great, warrior. But Amirul Mu'minin managed to kill him, and then Marhab himself came. You know the story, and how Amirul Mu'minin even removed the gate of Khaybar. That after him, 8 brave and strong men were not able to move. Then we have the incident of Ghadir Khum. This incident needs more discussion, especially we want to also talk about some disagreements after the demise of the Prophet about successorship, only as much as history is concerned. But still we have few pages. And then, inshallah, we will talk about Lady Fatima. So we will leave this, inshallah, for next session. For some of you, these might be reminders, but it's okay, I think. إِنَّ الذِّكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. But for some of you also, maybe it's a way to start a systematic study, organized study of the history of Islam, as much as relates to the history of Shia, because these are foundations for the history of Shia Islam. So please be patient if it is not very new for you, and inshallah we will reach those places that would be new. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
اللهم صل على محمد